So, this is the Endgame video that I said I was going to make, and I actually saw Endgame while my grandma was here, and so that's why I didn't make a review on the day it came out, because I did actually see it on the opening night. I saw it Thursday night, 3D IMAX at 10 p.m., which I didn't actually want 3D, but when we pre-ordered the tickets, we were a little bit late, and so we only had to do it for 3D at 10 p.m. We weren't fast enough to get tickets for 2D at 6 p.m., which I would have preferred, but besides the point. To make up for the fact that we got 3D the first day, my dad pre-ordered 2 more tickets for Friday at, I think, 7 p.m. for 2D IMAX and everything. So we made up for it. We saw it twice, one day and then the next. And I'm gonna flat out say I would give Endgame an 85. 85? Yeah, I'd probably say an 85. And for comparison, I would give Infinity War a 95. I think Infinity War was definitely better than Endgame, and there's not much I would really say about Endgame, but there's only a few things that make it a little bit worse than Infinity War, because it's hard to criticize Endgame for me. I'd rather, whenever I talk to somebody about it, I just compare it to Infinity War, and that kind of gives you the scope of what I feel. So, Endgame, I think, suffered from the problem of pacing. It had pretty bad pacing. It was very, very slow, and then very, very fast. From like the middle was pretty slow, and it was very long and dragging on, and the end was really fast and climactic and everything. I think it was too slow. The pacing was really bad. But I think Infinity War, they had almost constant action and constant interest in what people were doing, and they managed to deal with the characters a lot better. So many characters in the movie a lot better in Infinity War compared to Endgame for me, and that's what made the pacing better too. And I'd also say, with the pacing, Endgame had an okay soundtrack or sound mixing, whatever you call it. I think Infinity War was much better. It was more of an epic soundtrack, a bunch of like an orchestra playing at the end. I always think back to the end of Infinity War when it does the cellos and all the deep instruments playing as Thanos sits down on the farm like this. And I watched Infinity War last night. I rewatched it. Just give a scope to make this video. Also, what I think people are doing is saying Endgame is better than Infinity War because of the fan service in Endgame. The fan service is nice and everything, but it doesn't make it a good movie. It just makes you happy and makes you think it's a good movie. I like to strictly look at it as a good movie. Another thing is that there's a bunch of plot holes in the storyline, but they're trying to cover it up. I forgot the director's name, but they're trying to cover it up. So the director, the Russo brothers, I think, right? One of them, he said that how Thanos got his ship through time, through the dimension, the timeline, his big ship, because Nebula came through and then did a little thing with it with her fingers, and then his whole ship popped through. They said that Thanos and Ebony Maw were smart enough to reverse engineer the PIM particles that Nebula brought to them, so that's how they were able to come through. That's kind of it makes sense, but they should have shown that. I think so. Also, first, Cap's ending didn't really make sense because it seems like if you change anything in a different timeline, it doesn't have a butterfly effect. It just creates a new timeline, so it's almost like other dimensions. So you have your main time. Let me do this, and actually like this. Reverse it because of the camera. Your main timeline is going like this. It's linear, and then you decide to go back in time, and then you do something when you're back over here in time. And when you do that thing, it causes another timeline to happen. So now there's one timeline going this way, and there's one timeline going that way. So if you stay in this timeline, you're branching off. But if you, whenever you go back, you're back in normal timeline. Nothing changed. So when Captain America went back to put in the Infinity Stones, he should have created a new timeline that goes all the way back. You know, it's just completely different. So he should have probably been in another dimension. It would make no sense for him to be able to do this and go, big change. Now there's two Captain Americas in the world. And then it goes all the way here. He's living through his life with Peggy. And then boom, at the end of Endgame, when Falcon goes over and says, oh, hey, how you doing? Because he's been waiting there and he's been living a long life. Also, why does he look so old when he has the super serum inside of him? I don't get that. He should be a lot younger still, because he doesn't really age, I think. I'm pretty sure. I think he does. I think he has de-aging. Besides that, that's only a little bit of crap. There's a bunch more plot holes, but I don't mind it. It was okay. It was also pretty predictable. Like, as soon as Thor went back in time and brought Mjolnir back, and I was like, oh, okay, Mjolnir? That means they're going to have Captain America wield it. Why else would they bring back Mjolnir if it's not for Captain America to use it for fan service? I was immediately thinking it. And I'm kind of proud of myself for thinking that. But I was like, why else would they bring it back? They finished his arc with Mjolnir. They finished his arc in the 3 movies. And this is kind of like a continuation of Thor's arc in the Endgame. But like he's finishing his arc. He's done with Mjolnir. He's completely done. I was like, okay, they have to have Cap do it. They teased us in Ultron, Age of Ultron. Now they're fully going to give it to us. They're not going to just dick tease us a little bit. You know, it was a good moment, but it didn't make the movie. It was okay. It was predictable. Another thing is, let me think. It was a good movie, though. I'm criticizing it. It's hard to criticize it, okay? It's really just a major issue of pacing, and I think the soundtrack lagged behind Infinity War. It's so hard to, like, criticize it. I'm just criticizing it and keep on comparing it to Infinity War in my mind. What I also liked is Infinity War. Infinity War is that Thanos won, subverted expectations, and you know how it ended with him smiling on the farm. I think Thanos had a better storyline. Infinity War had a better storyline. It wasn't all this time travel. It wasn't the cliche of, oh, let's go into our previous movies and get the time stone and everything. And let's look back on the 10 years of Marvel, or 11 now maybe, for the fans, and everybody will be nostalgic. I don't think, you know, that doesn't really appeal to me. I like the, let's have this guy that's been teased since the first Avengers come out. They're finally facing him, the biggest baddie villain they've ever faced, and then have Thor almost kill him, and then he wins. The bad guy wins. I like that. I wish it ended there and they all lost, and they continued with the next phase. I would have enjoyed that, honestly. I like them losing. I'm not like, I love Thanos too, but I'm not one of those guys that roots for the villain. It's just that Thanos was a better character than a lot of the other characters. He was developed more in Infinity War than a lot of the characters in the Avengers movies and the Marvel movies. But besides that, I was thinking of something. What was I thinking about? What was it? Thanos is... So the thing with Thanos, he's such a great villain in Infinity War because you can sympathize with him. They make him human. You can understand where he's coming from, but he's wrong, because he thinks that if you kill half the population of a world or universe, because the resources are finite, that and they'll eventually run out, killing half the population will solve everything. That does happen. It solves everything. They won't destroy themselves. However, you can just double the amount of resources. So that was a big problem, problem with his plan. But you understand that he doesn't realize that. You understand it. But the thing is, Thanos' new plan in Endgame is even better. And I almost agree with Thanos. Thanos, when he sees through Nebula that he fails and that the Avengers and the world of the Avengers aren't able to deal with the universe being okay now and them not being able to destroy themselves with using all the resources, they still want people back and they're stubborn in his eyes, which makes sense. They don't want to deal with the perfect world. So what he decides to do, he goes, I'm gonna get the Infinity Stones and I'm gonna create a new universe that's perfect. What a great idea. He's gonna create a perfect universe. I was siding with Thanos at the end of Endgame more than at the end of Infinity War. I was actually agreeing with him. I was like, that was so smart. Just create a new universe that everybody loves and there's a perfect amount of people. It's like utopia. Create a utopia. Why wouldn't you do that? I don't know. Also, a lot of the people I hang out with don't understand, or didn't before they watch the movie, how powerful Thanos is without the Infinity Stones. It was angering me because they haven't read any of the comics, like the Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity Stone comics, Infinity War comics, and so they don't understand how powerful Thanos is without the Infinity Stone. But in Endgame, they really got to. I proved them all wrong. I kept on telling them, oh, he doesn't need the Infinity Stones to take down Avengers. He doesn't need them. They're like, oh, no, he needs them. He's gonna die. I was like, oh, he'll be fine. And then we see Thanos without the Infinity Stones, and he deep dicks Thor and Captain America, both trying to hurt him. Captain Marvel, pretty much everybody. And he without the Infinity Stones, he brutalized Hulk in the first movie, but in this movie it was just hilarious. He had a sword. I loved all the fight scenes with Thanos because he looks so good fighting. So good just killing everybody. Oh, it's great. Like killing, hurting. But I can't really think of anything else about Endgame. I'd say it was a great movie. It was great. 85, solid. But I think Infinity War was better executed and had a better plot. So it brings it up to a 95. It was more climactic. They all lost. You can't really top it. They dug their own hole, okay? They can't really top Infinity War in my eyes. Maybe they could have if they pulled something out of the bag, but in my eyes they didn't with Endgame. And the same thing they screwed themselves with Endgame because they had to make it slow in the beginning to show the devastation of Thanos. That's what caused the pacing issues. But, that was inevitable. I understand it. It just, they were never going to be able to make a perfect movie that was titled Endgame, to continue the story. But anyways, it was 85%. Infinity War is 9%. It was a good video. I hope it sounds good. I think it will. I was surprised how good the quality was when I did my update video. So, okay, I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, night, whatever you're watching us. I hope your day's doing great. Mine has. I volunteered and picked up trash at a beach. It was fun. I got volunteering hours. Besides, peace.